Hello and welcome to the Blood Reds Daily News. I'm joined by my fellow Liverpool.com writer, Andrew Beasley, and we're going to discuss something positive for a change about Liverpool this season, and that's a very comfortable 7-1 victory. We'd like to hear your thoughts as well, so make sure you leave your comments in the comment section. But Andrew, let's talk about that game. I mean, the first half was pretty tepid, but in the second half, Liverpool really came alive. And as you wrote on Twitter, this is Liverpool have never done this before away from home.
Yeah, that's right. I learned that it's the first time they've ever scored 6 goals in a half away from home in their history. So it is quite a remarkable achievement. It sort of just sums up the strange season they're having, really. I mean, they can barely win a game. You know, they beat Ajax with a goal in the last minute. They beat Newcastle with a goal about 8 minutes into stoppage time. But then they've also had a 9-0. And now they've had a 7-1. Obviously, you know, the standard of opposition plays a part in that. You know, Bournemouth just up from the Championship and Rangers the weakest team in the Champions League group. But I mean, you can never sort of take that for granted that you can beat any team, 7-1. I mean, it's only the second away win Liverpool have ever had in Europe by at least 6 goals, the other being the win in Maribor a few years ago. So, I mean, it's rare on every level. You've got Jota assisting Salah for a hat-trick. That's not happened. I think I saw Michael Reed from Opta say since about 95 or something like that, sort of Collymore and Fowler. So, I mean, so much sort of trivia and good stuff to take out from the game. But yeah, as you say, it sort of wasn't looking that way early on. I mean, conceding first yet again. Clearly playing a team like Rangers, that, not perhaps as much of an issue as it is in other games, but it's continuing that theme. And obviously, if they concede first on the weekend against Manchester City, they almost certainly won't get back in the game, or certainly it'll be a lot harder. So yeah, lots of positives to take, lots of players getting goals, lots of players getting assists. And yeah, I mean, any confidence boost they could take is great. But I think as we saw the Bournemouth one, they didn't sort of carry that on particularly. So we have to hope that they do this time.
Yeah, that's the thing. Liverpool have had plenty of starts already. And let's hope this one is a bit different. I mean, when it comes to Rangers, I think they're probably a level of Bournemouth. I mean, they did get to the Europa League final last season. That's a pretty big accomplishment. And let's not forget, Ibrox is a really tough state to go to. So, but I will. Let's give Liverpool some credit here. Difficult, hostile atmosphere, and an opponent. Major factors why they got of Ibrox and the atmosphere that they had there.
Yeah, sorry, mate, you cut out a bit there, but I think you were saying about sort of the atmosphere at Ibrox and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, it's obviously it's not going to be an easy place. I mean, you can't ever take an away win for granted in the Champions League, no matter who you're playing. I mean, we saw that the other year when Red Star Belgrade were the weakest team in Liverpool's group, and Liverpool went there and didn't perform, and they were beaten. So, yeah, things like that can't be taken for granted. Particularly as well once they've taken the lead. I mean, that that got the crowd going, obviously, and it was looking quite hard for Liverpool at that point. I mean, obviously they got back into it from a corner, but hadn't created too much else. So yeah, to get level before halftime was probably important, and then obviously they dominated the second half, as we know. But yeah, it was a very good win because 1-0 down, that certainly they'd have been thinking, oh, here we go again, probably. So to recover from that in a sort of bear pit atmosphere is they deserve credit, as you say.
Fully on Manchester City, Liverpool were have the greatest of start in the league. Left a comment here saying our season starts after Sunday, but if we get a result, then Liverpool can claim for October. Game. This was the perfect sort of preparation for it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the comment there is right from Bruce. I mean, whatever happens on Sunday, win, lose or draw, I mean, Liverpool's fixture list does get a bit easier after they've played Manchester City. I mean, we can't pretend they've been playing well this season because they haven't, but you have to look at the fact that they've already been to Arsenal, they've been to Everton, which is always a tough game. They've got Manchester City this week. They've been to Old Trafford. So, they have had quite a few tough games, even if the home schedule hasn't been too hard so far, unless I'm forgetting anything. I mean, obviously, had it not been for the postponements, they would have been to Chelsea by now already. We don't know what result they've got, but the point is, a lot of their toughest away games are being ticked off already. So, obviously, I would imagine most Liverpool fans are sort of wary about what might happen on Sunday, but the fixture list does get easier thereafter. And as you say, they've got to take confidence from last night. I mean, I mentioned earlier that after the Bournemouth 9-0, they didn't really sort of kick on from there. We remember in that game, like Salah didn't score or get an assist, which was pretty crazy in a 9-0. So with him getting a hat-trick in sort of record speed in the Champions League, hopefully he'll take confidence from that. That should get him going. You've also got Firmino. I mean, when was he last in form this good? I don't know. See, Nunez has scored in the last two games. It's almost a shame Jota didn't score the last goal and it went to Elliott, because I think Jota could maybe do with a goal, because I don't think he's got one this season. But I mean, pretty sure he's now got 5 assists, which is remarkable, because I think he had 7 in his first 2 seasons or something like that. So, he's doing well there as well. So if you've got all your frontline players firing on all cylinders, then you're going to have a chance. But I mean, I think clearly the issue against Manchester City is possibly more of a defensive one than an attacking one. But yeah, obviously, as I say, if all the forwards are getting on the score sheet, I mean, 4 of them contributed to goals on Sunday as well. If they're heating up, then, the odd goal conceded, Liverpool could probably get away with, albeit perhaps not against Manchester City.
Lots of people, Bobby, in the comments, his hat-trick, which was a historical hat-trick in the Champions League, but how important, kicking on, and he's almost from this season. Never expect him to do this well. I think he's at 5 goal contribution. It's a pretty incredible return from him.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would have really expected that. I think most people would have accepted that he was 5th choice in the pecking order behind obviously Diaz, Salah, Nunez, and Jota, and yet he's proven to be the main man this season, which is pretty remarkable, because he'd had a couple of years where he hadn't scored all that many goals. I mean, I think he went something like over a year without a league goal at Anfield and stuff like this. But quite why it's happening, I don't know. It's good to see. I mean, maybe because he wasn't playing quite so often last year. Maybe it's given him sort of like a new lease of life. He didn't play as much as a lot of the other players, and maybe he's a bit fresher as a result, because obviously the guys who contributed most in the 63 game season we had last year, they're obviously, a lot of them have been looking tired and stuff, and understandably so. So yeah, I mean, with regards to one of the comments there from Kumar about 2-year contract extension, I mean, I think I read yesterday, it looks like both he and the club will be sort of happy for him to go on a free at the end of the season. But I mean, if he keeps up this form, then it probably does make sense to keep hold of him. I mean, I would certainly keep hold of him for at least another year. But it's a long season ahead. I mean, Jota was the main man at the start of last season, and sort of by the end he'd fallen out of the picture a little bit. So things can change, and got to get through the World Cup and stuff like that. But I mean, yeah, as I say, Firmino's not been in such great form in such a long time, and it's just brilliant to see, because he's probably the sort of key man of the Klopp era, if you like. He's sort of been there for the whole thing. So it's great to see him sort of dragging the team along a little bit when they're struggling now.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Let's hope there's going to be more Firmino and Jota goals from now on until the end of the season. And I think I'm on the same boat as you. I think I would like to see Firmino probably extend his deal, especially if he keeps going at this sort of form. But I think that about wraps it up for today. Thanks everyone for leaving your comments and tuning in, and thanks Andrew for joining me. Thank you.